Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Beyond the Quit. We have corporate executive, IFBB Pro, and founder of the MyAthlete Foundation, Bhaaben Deorii. Bhaaben,
Hey, Peter. Thanks for
how
having
you
me.
doing? No, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Question I ask every single guest when we first jump on. What's one moment in your life where you could have quit, but you didn't?
That's a that's a tough one. So for me personally, I have always taken challenges, right? So never felt like giving up because I come from a very not from a very high privilege background, right? I started from a small town in Assam. It's called Dhemaji. So the name itself means flood, right? The place itself has floods every time. So every time I used to have a setback, I used to take it as a challenge and come back. But if I have to take one instance where I really felt like giving up is during my pro debut, when I was juggling between corporate lifestyle, trying to do my pro debut, and my kids. Right, they're my daughters are 15 years and 10 years, and you all know like how the prep is, how hard it is, and working for one of the world's top service provider, oil field service provider, it was really hectic. So at that point, I was like, does it make really sense to go through all of this? And the kids growing up, you want to be part of watching the kids grow. And deep into the prep, you're doing like 45 minutes cardio training.
Oh,
You know how the deal is, right?
yeah, oh, yeah.
Low on energy. They want to go out sometimes. So I was like really questioning myself. And at 30, I think at 40 years old, is it really worth it? That's where I was reevaluating stuff. But then I said like, no, what if I quit today? Like what my kids would look up to. And I would be always regretting that, what if I pushed through that, right? So I said like, just forget it. It's me versus me. That's where I said, reevaluated things, prioritizes things, stop getting excuses, and went back there. And I was lucky because my family supported me. The kids sacrifice as well, the family sacrifice as well. Instead of going out for movies or dining out on weekends, we put up movies evening at home, ordered food, so that, that I could still do my prep. And my wife, she supported me. You need to have a good support system. That's for sure. So that was the point, I would say, one of the very, very hard moment for me where I was feeling like giving up. But I'm very glad that I didn't give up. And here I am. I did my pro debut. 1 year later, I did another show, you know, did a lot of improvements. So now I'm looking forward to keep continuing it.
Love that. Love that answer. Well, again, I appreciate you joining. I want my audience to get to know you. So we're going to get started. Let's go.
Let's go.
A lot of you guys don't know this, but I met Bhaaben in Columbus, Georgia in April. We did a IFBB Pro show. I can't think of the name of it. You remember the name of that?
Tri-City Classic.
Tri-City Classic. Tri-City Classic. And instantly, I mean, this guy's pro all the way. When I said I wanted to start a podcast, I knew I wanted him to be one of my first guests. And I'm just
Thank
very
you.
privileged
Thank you.
for him to jump on and do this. I'm going to jump right in. So thank you again for joining. So you built a 17-year career at SLB, which, while becoming a pro, and you talked about some of the sacrifices, because you had family involved and you have career involved and obviously your mentality and everything else all in one bucket. So when you look at your journey, what's the headline?
Well, I've never thought about it, but now when you ask, I would say it has to be something like from the ground up. Like I mentioned, why ground up? Because of my background and from where I come. As I've said, when I was young, I lived in a city where it's always flooded every year. Right? It's really challenging. At times, we were cut off from the mainstream. We used to basically to be connected to the mainstream. We used to get on a boat and then cross the river, which caused the flooding, and then we go to the mainstream. So what you see today is I work for Schlumberger, which is an oilfield service provider. I've turned pro, lived in around 5 countries, traveled like 5 countries here. I think four countries I lived in, travel around 26 countries. But this does not define me, because at times when my dad was bringing me and my brother was he's a doctor, so he was doing medical and I was doing engineering from one of the premier institute in India. He used to sacrifice his meals. I still remember he was having just rice and salt to be able to afford our university fees. So I would say, like, I've been blessed by God to be able to do what I'm able to do today, but it has not come without sacrifices. So a lot of dedication, I would say hard work, resilience, and consistency is what got me here. So yeah, I would say from the ground up, or from the level zero, that is what I would say my headline would be.
That is legit. Did you really just come off the top of the dome with that? I mean, that is solid. I love that from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of anything. Never thought it this way until you put it across.
Yeah, that's solid. If you don't mind, I might steal that.
Yeah, no worries.
So in your corporate career, so you've touched operations, leadership, obviously, digital transformation, and knowledge delivery, obviously. So which of those challenged you the most and why?
So I did diverse roles in the company, different roles: personnel, operations, digital, like you said, training, knowledge delivery. But if I had to pick one, that would be when I was a manager in Bombay. I was managing around 120 years reporting to me from different nationalities. We had around 12 nationalities, engineers working for Schlumberger under me. So that was challenging because, what I realized is leadership is about people. And one type of leadership would not fit well. What motivates you might not motivate me, or what triggers you might not trigger me. So the key to managing and getting the best out of the people was to listen to them. And there were crazy stories always, because these were high stake operations, rig rates. Every day the rig would be like $1 million, right? That's the daily spend of the rig. So if you have a downtime because of any failures of the service we provide, that goes straight to hit the company, which we were representing, right? So I had to keep the motivation of people up. They used to go offshore, cut off from mainland, stay there like 30 days, 40 days, sometimes 90 days away from the family. And how do you keep these people motivated to do the job? And I also have like very strange stories. It's not only about managing the engineers, it's also managing their families. Because once I remember, it was a new year. This guy was the engineer was from Russia, and I had to get him off from the rig. To get to the rig, we get the chopper. So I had to get him off from the rig on 30th so that he could spend his time. This guy was already like 20, 25 days on the rig. And I remember I was going out with my wife, and I get a call from his wife, literally crying and also scolding me, telling that, how can you do that? Like, it's a new year. I am here from Russia in India. I don't have anyone to celebrate. So, I was on the phone trying to console her, trying to be with her. And here my family is waiting for me, to celebrate. So,
Wow.
yeah, so that was really challenging, had different aspects. But good thing is we managed to get the guy down after a day. I talked to the client a lot. We flew a chopper specially to get the guy down, and I replaced the guy with a bachelor guy who had already enjoyed the New Year. There are different stories, but I think the bigger challenge at that point was the operations management, high dynamic, high revenue at stake operations, which in the end, I feel all leadership comes to people management. So that is why it was very challenging.
So kind of piggybacking off of that statement. So you've led global teams throughout your
Right.
career in different
Yes.
aspects.
Yes.
You're a leader, obviously. You wouldn't be in this realm if you weren't a leader. That's blatant. But what do you think are the key qualities of a leader? What makes a leader, a true leader in your eyes?
For me, leadership, I say people management, but that should happen with a great leader should have integrity, because your people should be, believe in you, and whatever you do, you should have the integrity, right? The second thing I think is empathy as well, empathy. So whatever you do, you need to be emphatic about the people who you're dealing with. And then finally, I think you need to be very decisive. Sometimes I have taken hard decisions. We had COVID happened, our business went down in COVID. Before that, in 2014, the oil business went down as well. So we released a lot of peoples. We had to release from the engineers when I was the manager there. I think we released around 30 engineers, 30 or 40 engineers, right? We had to do it because that's how business is. But while doing so, we tried to find out what is the best way we could support these people. So we came out with packages like, although this was company driven, we had to basically, package it in such a way so that the guy can still sustain. So we gave them packages where they used to get like 25% of the pay scale even when they were released, right? So these are the things we try to be very reasonable even when we try to release the people. Because like I said, like you don't normally quit companies, you quit bosses. If your boss is not good, you will basically, most of the time, it's about the boss, right? So that's why I say after the leader has to take decisive decision, but in that he has to have the integrity and empathy. It's very true though. Like when you talk about leadership, right? Sometimes if the leader is confused, it becomes very hard for the team members to follow. That's why I say even sometimes the leader might be wrong. He might be wrong, but if he's very clear in his vision, he's very decisive, it becomes very easy for his followers to do the stuff.
Love that. So
So
true.
yeah, that's what I feel. I mean, in the end, for me, leadership is all about people management.
And you manage, I mean, you said 120 at one point. I'm sure you have a big group as well, here and there. So how do you keep them engaged and not feel overwhelmed? Because, right, you have different statuses of not even leadership, but just personalities, right? Different statuses of who those people are. So how do you keep them still buying in, quote unquote, right? How do you keep them engaged? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think the key to that is always keeping the communication line open and listening to them. Quite often, what I see is most of the managers or leaders are always wanting to talk. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I needs to be done. You're always putting forward what you want to do, right? It's never a 360-degree feedback, listening to actually what the guys are wanting to do. And like I said before, right? Motivation for everyone is different. You need to identify where is that key point, what motivates him. And then from there, you should be able to get the best out of it. Because I believe, as a manager, there's a difference between leadership and management, right? As a manager, you're managing people, but then are you becoming a manager who's also a leader whom people look up to? Right? You should be able to get the best out of everyone. That should be that is why I consider a good leader. And the key to that is always listening. Especially now today in this world of social media, everybody is giving out stuff. But once you start listening, that's where you start striking the chords.
I like that. I mean, you're having some great nuggets. I call them nuggets, just like good pieces that people can pull from. So a lot of the listeners are the busy professionals, but every realm, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. They're busy people that work and with other hats that they wear, right? Family, pastime, careers, etc. And that, like, how do you deal with pressures and deadlines and performance expectations, if you will? What do you do?
To me, pressure is external. I think like pressure to me in a corporate world or even in bodybuilding, right? So pressure is meeting the deadlines, your goals, your objectives, how you're performing. Stress is internal. Stress is how you react to these pressures. So that's something, it's coming internal from you. So you should be able to, the way you react to this pressure will define how you manage the stuff. That's what I say. And one of the key things to success is stress management. If you're not able to manage your stress, which is then unfortunately you will burn out, like you say. So the key to that is internally how you react to these pressures. Pressures will always be there. Like you are also an IFBB Pro. So when you're preparing, although like all of us are preparing to win, we are just not going there to compete, right? So there is pressure. There's nobody, like at least at the pro, I would not say like everybody who's preparing for a show. Most of us are preparing to win the show. But then again,
Right.
it's how much you are maintaining that pressure internally, how you react into that will determine how you handle the loss.
That's spot on. I kind of abide by that as well. That's a great call out for sure. I want to shift kind of into bodybuilding. So
Yeah.
obviously you earned a pro card. So while having a demanding career, obviously, and we kind of touched on it, and I know you didn't give us every aspect, but just what you've given us, it's a lot, right? So with your career, with your family, you have kids, you're married, and there's other hats that you wear, obviously. So what was a tipping point to make you compete? Because obviously you didn't just jump on the stage and say, I want to be a pro. I mean, I think there's steps to that, right? And I think anybody that's received their pro card, whether it's just going to the gym for the first time, right? Or competing in the amateur level for a number of years and saying, you know what, I'm ready to move forward with shooting for the pro card or whatever it's been. So what was the tipping point that made you pursue the stage at that level?
To start off, I was always training since I was year 10, but I never thought about competing until I think 2015. I first competed in 2020 though. My first show was 2020. I think I had some gap in training, but once I got back in 2015, I saw some good results. And then I say like, hey, why not compete in state? But that happened because I didn't want to have the regret. I always did the stuff, whatever I did, I never wanted to have any regrets. Like, what if I had pushed through and what if I could have turned pro one day? So that tipping point, and also the tripping point was in that role, which I said, which I was the managing 120 people, I had reached. So it was a multifaceted role. I was the face of SLB for clients. I was handling client, people, locations, operations, everything. Everything was being maintained. And I was completely off track. You know, I had put on a belly, like a real good belly, and looked like very out of shape. Then, you know, my kids were growing up. I said, man, this is not what I was. I cannot let a role define me. And what would I say to the kids? Like today, my kids, they look up to me and my wife both. They are into my elder daughter works out. My younger one is on swimming, so they are into physical activity. And that happened, I think, because they say the kids don't listen to you; they look to you, look up to you. Whatever you say doesn't matter. They will always look at the behavior. So that aspect of, you know, regret, which did it, which basically made me jump into the stage because I wanted to see how much I can push myself and how would I look in the best shape of my life if I were to shred myself. That sense of regret is where I thought it's time to step on stage. And
Okay.
you know, once you step on stage and once you see yourself in that mirror and then you say, oh shit, sorry, oh, you can look like that.
Right.
And then that's it, right? That triggers and then it keeps on going and going and going. Yeah.
Absolutely. Staying with the bodybuilding aspect, got the pro card, but as you touched on, there's a lot of discipline involved, right? Nutrition, training, time, you name it. It's everything to make that time on the stage for you to peak, basically. So balancing that with your corporate schedule, where people say in the corporate world, they say, hey, you don't have no, people say there's no time to even work out, right? Or go for a walk, let alone become a pro bodybuilder. How were you able to manage that? You bring up, like time, you bring up, you didn't want to look a certain way. You knew who you wanted to be, and you're not going to let a role define you in that aspect. You brought up those pieces, but can we do a deeper dive with that? Like, how did you do that? Because listeners out there, if whether you're competing in bodybuilding or you were a former athlete in college or high school, whatever, there's always time involved in order to peak, right, and be your best that you could possibly be. Walk me through that. How are you able to manage that consistently? And we're going to talk about your athlete foundation. And I followed you on social media, and you have a slew of athletes as well that you train throughout the world. How are you able to do that? Because I think that's important for you to explain to the listeners management and not quitting.
Yeah. No, that's, I think for me, like, you know, a part of that goes to my training in Schlumberger as well with SLB when we joined the company was multitasking. And while multitasking, you know, having everything scheduled, right? My calendars are packed. And I'm a kind of guy who normally performs well when I have a lot of things to do. If I don't have anything to do, then I would be just lying down on the bed and taking rest. So I need stuff like that's where I perform well. So my basic thing which I try to do is basically not look at the bigger vision, but try to break it down in blocks and try to accomplish this thing. Right? I don't look at what I need to do in 1 week or something, or you mentioned my athlete, what my athlete needs to be 5 to 10 years. I'm just focused on today on winning that particular task. My calendars are booked, and then I try to finish the task. This actually came from my wife as well. Like, you know, she would do, if say she will do this thing, even if it's midnight, she makes sure that is done. So you prioritize and you do the thing what needs to be done today. You don't push it to the next day. So jobs will happen. Like I have my job schedule. Then obviously workouts are there. And for my athlete, I have only the weekends fixed, right? I keep the weekends. That's where I schedule the calls with the team and give them the agenda, what needs to be done, and give them the vision and give them the task, what needs to be done for every week. So that is how I try to accomplish each thing every day. I think that's what has helped me to finish. So to give you an example, when I start the day, I have like a small sticky notes. And then for the corporate thing, I write down for my job, what needs to be done today. For for my personal job, for my personal stuff, then office stuff, and then for MyAthlete. In fact, for MyAthlete, I have a board here in my room, and it's broken down every month what needs to be achieved. So I don't have to re-engineer and think, okay, today what is. My team knows what needs to be done every day and every month. And same I do. Like before, it is very productive actually. Rather than you start your day, if you spend 15 or 10 minutes before you sit on your office job, you write down, okay, these are the things I need to do. And from there, you shortlist what are the priority stuff which needs to be done irrespective because there is a deadline. You put a deadline to it and then you get it done so that it doesn't accumulate. That becomes that 15 minutes before you start the day makes your entire day productive.
Sounds like you do that every day.
Yes. Most of the time I try to do it. Like I have a small sticky notes, always started this date. These are the tasks I need to do. If I don't do it, so and then once it's done, I strike it off. And if it is not done, it stays there. I take it up the next.
I like that. I'm a visual guy. Sticky notes everywhere, and when that task is done, grab it, throw it away. That adds cleanliness. That's a visual for me. I'm feeling a sense of accomplishment, so I like that a lot. So give me a common myth about bodybuilding that you've proven wrong through your own journey.
Well, I think everything is possible if you put your mind and hard work. Most of the time, people think that doing a corporate job and maintaining a professional bodybuilding is not possible. I think it's very, very possible. A lot of people have shown as well. Ronnie Coleman itself has shown us. He was a policeman full time, still be Mr. Olympia. So what are you complaining about, right?
Mr. Right.
Taking his meals and everything. Yeah, I think you just need to have your priorities right. If you love something, you will find a way to do it. And I'm very, very passionate about bodybuilding and sports in general. So I will find a way. I think the biggest issue with people is they are missing a passion. I'll give you an example, right? One of my friend's father, he was a very good professor. People used to like him a lot, and his job was his life. And he was very likable, very energetic, very welcoming, talking to everyone. The moment he left the job, right, he retired at 60. I think he retired 55. He suddenly grew very old. When I say very old, by the visual of it, right? How he looked at 55 or 60 years of old, he looked much, much older in 5 years. Why? Because his job was his life. And when the job was taken away, he didn't know what to do, right? So he aged very fast. So, in this world, we are so much engrossed in job, which is good. Most of us are career oriented. You want to be a VP or CEO or whatever you want. You want to have your own company, co-founder, that's fine. But you need to have a passion for something. Find something, does not need to be bodybuilding. If you like music, pick up music. If you are into painting, pick up music. Baking, doesn't matter. But you need to have that something extra. Otherwise, it's very hard. You will burn out. Like everybody is doing the same thing. If I am into the job, like the gym for me was a cutoff. When I'm in the gym, I can completely switch off, and that 1 or 2 hours, I'm sure you will relate. How it inspires and completely resets us. So that part of having something, pick up anything, something, and be passionate about it, and I'm sure you will be able to do it. If you have passion, I'm sure you will find a way to do it. If I tell you, if you do this out of the job and you earn 200K, I'm sure you will find a way to do it, right? So it's just a matter of prioritizing stuff. And I think I'm blessed by God's grace to be able to do what I'm doing. So people think it's a myth. It's not a myth. You can do like corporate job. My company is it's the world's best service provider for a reason, because it's very, very performance oriented. Like you have to be always driven. And it's very, very performance oriented. So to do that, and together with being a professional bodybuilder, it's only I'm carrying it forward because I have a passion to do it. I'm finding a way to do it. So it's not a myth. You can do it as well, as long as you're passionate about something.
That's strong, man. That's so strong. Absolutely. Speaking of that, consistency, right? So what does that mean to you? And second part to that, when motivation fades, what do you do? Or do you do anything? Are you still consistent? Talk to me about that. What does that mean?
Well, I will be very honest with you. No, all of us, yourself, myself, and all pro athletes, we understand the the importance of being consistent to be able to reach our goals and to reach in our best shape of our life, right? But I have to be very, very honest because it's, at least for me, juggling between three things and family, it is sometimes not possible to be consistent as you would have liked it. So to me, you have to be sustainably consistent. Now, what I mean by sustainably consistent is it's okay to go off in one meal. You might go off in one meal because if you're going out with your family, for me, I have to take out the clients sometimes for dinner and I have to probably take a drink out of it, right? That's part. But then you cannot be saying, hey, I'm off track and then, continue that trend. You need to be back on track on the next meal immediately, right? So that's what I mean by sustainably consistent. In the long run, if you look at it, if you're consistently eating like, 6 days clean to the plan, eating one off meal is not going to throw you off track. Or if you are eating junk all the time, eating one healthy meal is not going to make you healthy, right? So you have to be consistent, but in a sustainable way if you have to do long term. Otherwise, I think you will burn out. Yeah, obviously, we all of us, you might disagree or other pros might disagree. But at least for me, I have to maintain it consistently by being sustainable. So, and I try to do it like this. Right? Sometimes I go off track, but I make sure I am back on track immediately by the next meal. My coach is sometimes not very happy and he's always on my toes, screwing it. But he understands as well, like the role
You're talking about your coach, right?
yeah, my coach, Patrick Cho.
That's you have the best, one of the best in the world.
Yeah, man, he's amazing. Amazing.
Legitimately. That's amazing. And that's cool that one of the best coaches in the world understands that. What does that tell you? So good point. So were you ever close to quitting bodybuilding? And I'm not talking about just working out. I feel like people like us will always go to the gym, right? But the competitive piece of it, the whole nutrition, cardio, training, getting on the stage. Were you ever close to quitting because of X, Y, and Z? You name it, whatever. And if you were, how did you pull through?
Yeah, it was at that time only when, I saw my family suffering or my kids really wanting to spend some time. And that's where I really thought. And then to add to it, when I did my pro debut, you know, I realized I look at the guys at the top level pros and then I started questioning myself, do I really belong here? Because these guys are young,
Yeah.
right? I'm already like 14 years, older than them. And, I'm not doing this like full time into bodybuilding as a job. So does it, I think it was from a Tri-City Classic when I was driving back with my wife. I was like, does it make any sense, sacrificing family and this and that? And then later on, I thought, man, it's not about anybody. It's about me versus me, right? And like I said, I did not want to have the regret. What if I had pushed through another 2 to 3 years? Could I have been done better? And that's where I thought, man, forget it. I'm not looking at anybody. As long as from this show to last show, I improve, I'm happy. And that's what we did. I think my 1 year later, my package was much, much more improved than the year before. And I'm really happy that I did that because now I see my kids, my elder one, I have a gym setup in my garage. She works out. She does the cardio in the summer. She's fully into it. So I'm glad I did not quit. And this is very important to me. Like whatever other people doesn't matter. What my kids think is what matters. What they're looking up to is what matters.
That's solid right there. That's solid right there. All right. So let's talk about the MyAthlete Foundations. My question is like, what inspired you to start that? And how do you identify talent? Because I'm sure there's a huge pool of potential athletes that want to be a part of this foundation.
Yeah. I started MyAthlete because I wanted to put the Indian bodybuilding into the Mr. Olympia stage. There are a lot of talents out there in India, so I wanted to give them a platform where they can compete globally. And I mentor them, and try to bring out the best out of them, right? So that's what inspired me because I see a lot of talents out there, but there are some systematic barriers with this athlete face, which we try to, address through the foundation. And about identifying talent, we have some criteria. They need to be placing at least top 3 in Sheru Classic, and globally they need to be competing and being the first call out. Those are some basic criteria. But then in the end, they need to have the potential to be able to do well. So that's how we select the athletes.
So what's your hopes? What do you forecast with MyAthlete? What's your vision 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years, actually in 2 to 3 years, I would like to see an India. I would not say even next year, because I firmly believe there are at least a couple of athletes who can crack into top 10. So that's our whole goal right now, at least in the men's physique division. We're trying to look at what we need to do to bring out the best in these athletes and try to crack into the top 10 in Olympia. Down the line, 5 to 10 years, I want to, MyAthlete is my baby. Like, I want it to be a platform which is known for nurturing talent and providing them all the resources, potential Indian athletes, to do well internationally. Right now, the focus is only on bodybuilding, but then we are also supporting an athlete a female athlete who is trying to represent India in the women's powerlifting competition in the Asian Games and in the Commonwealth Games. So we're supporting her as well. Right now, bodybuilding and powerlifting, and then eventually, do different sports as well.
The vision. So most people do struggle with balancing one career. Obviously, you're balancing a lot. Do you have any nuggets? I like to call it nuggets. So any words of advice or systems or habits that allow you to manage? I mean, you've given a good amount throughout this conversation, but is there a takeaway that my listeners have that they can use today?
I think the main important thing is prioritizing stuff. That is very, very important. And secondly, I think is the stress management. One of the most untalked thing, especially in bodybuilding as well. People talk about being prep and this and that. We all know there's a lot of what the, mental state you go through while in a prep, or also even coming out from a prep, which we call the post-competition depression. So maintaining those are very, very important. And try to win the moment, don't plan too long. Like, okay, you need to have a vision, but you need to have the steps to go through the vision. And then, try to achieve small goals, which will lead you to the final vision. So that is very, very important. When we start the day, it's very important to complete small tasks. That is how I think you can stay on track.
Okay. I like that. So what legacy do you want to leave? Corporate world or in bodybuilding or whatever you're looking at?
Corporate world, I have not thought yet as such, maybe something down the line. But at least for bodybuilding, I want to be remembered. I want to leave a legacy where, known for providing a gateway for the upcoming potential athletes from India to shine themselves globally. Actually, now when you talk about it, I think I'm pretty blessed to be able to do that as I come across different phases in life, because when I passed out in 12-year high school, right? The high school here, I managed to be in the top 10 in the state, like top 10 guys who got the highest marks in the Texas state, let's say, right? So the legacy is there. My name is there, which is still intact. Although I want somebody to break that legacy. I passed out from the college, IIT. My name is still there as a best outgoing all-rounder from the IIT. So IIT is like, to give it of US. So it's the premier engineering institute in India. So now you talk about it, I think, I've never thought about legacy, but probably being able to do something for the next generation of athletes, give them at least a platform where they can take India to the global stage.
I feel like you're so driven that that's inevitable. It's going to happen. I mean, just this conversation we had, I can feel that.
I think it's also like, you would not know, many people want to contribute to that cause. And by opening MyAthlete, I have seen, like, I was very, happy to see like a lot of brands coming forward. Like, I have brand tie-ups, like 3 brand tie-ups, and they were also willing to contribute to this vision. And with MyAthlete, recently, like one of our athlete, he finished his sponsorship contract. So the sponsor did not renew his contract, right? So we managed to give him that contract. We managed to sign him a contract because we had a tie-up with our brand partner. So we want to take away everything out of the athlete, right? Financial struggles, access to global coaching, whatever it is. And, so that they can focus purely on athletic improvement or athletic performance. Yeah. So give them a platform where, you enable the athletes to bring the best out of them.
Makes sense. Definitely appreciate your time. I have one final question for you. So what does it personally mean to you to go beyond the quit?
Beyond the Quit is the name for your podcast, and I'm very grateful to you to have me here. I think this is a perfect. I take a lot of connection with this because that's what has defined me. Like I've always pushed myself. Whenever there was a setback, I used to take it as a challenge and come back stronger. So do not quit. Every obstacle, you face, take a step back, regroup, reevaluate, and then come back stronger. But do not give up on your dreams.
I think that's solid. Bhaaben, I totally appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, obviously, and you took the time out to just have a conversation with me. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Peter.
All right. We'll talk soon.